Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's episode 84 of Mike and Blaine, and that is our new jingle, and it cannot just help but making you happy, right?
Love it.
It's got to make you
Love
happy.
it.
Right? So it reminds me, and somebody told me this yesterday. They said, it sounds like Full House from the 90s.
Sounds about right.
The actual interest to them. I go, okay, well, I'll go with that.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's fun. Yeah.
So episode 84, this is Mike Milan, Cashflow Mike, and that is my partner, Blaine Birch of Dry Run. What's up, my man?
Oh, looking forward to number 84. We just keep getting closer and closer to that big 100. I can't wait to hit that one. That's gonna be a big anniversary for us.
Yeah, right. It's coming up fast. It's just like going, I can't believe we're at 84 already this year. And I like the changes, the little small changes. Remember, this year's the year of change. We kind of did around the same thing for the first two seasons. Season 3, hey, we're getting a little experimental here, a little different things, a little edgy, a little pushing on the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, and then we brought in a jingle that is not edgy at all. So toned it down. Balance it out. A little bit.
And you know what's even funnier is when you hear that jingle and see our logo, you're like going, what the fuck are these guys doing?
Yeah, it should be sort of death metal or something, but it's fun. It's everything. This is all about having fun, so I'm good with that. So what are you drinking today?
All right, so remember, I had a sponsor. I'm sponsored for the next 3 weeks. Larry Weinstein, CPA out of Houston. I mean, he is part of my Pathfinder program, but he sent me a Total Wine and More gift card, and I used it, man. Dude, I went out there and I burned it up. Larry, it only lasted one trip.
Nice.
But it is what it is. But Larry, I tell you what, I went and met him in person as well on the Riverwalk last week on Friday, and we had lunch. The guy is full of ideas. He's energetic, always thinking. Super guy. If you're in Houston looking for a CPA, contact Larry Weinstein. So here's what I got, Larry. I went with, and this was kind of a throwback for me, right? Now, left-hand milk stout, you're like, okay, well, that seems a little bit big beer, kind of. But I went with it because, A, he suggested it, right? And I told everybody that if you give me money, and he gave me both money and a picture of what I was supposed to buy, this is one that he wanted me to buy. It's a throwback beer for me because I used to have this on tap at Bottoms Up Brew House in O'Fallon, Missouri, right? So I had 70 beers, 20 of them on tap. 2 of them used nitrogen. And initially, like we're talking 10, 12, 15 years ago, initially I thought nitrogen was used for the heavier beers, right? Maybe CO2 wouldn't push it as well as nitrogen was. But the more I learn about nitrogen, it's about the mouthfeel. It's like less carbonation. Where CO2 gives you a lot more bubbles, bigger bubbles, more acidic taste. And the nitrogen beers are for beers that probably have a little bit more malt than hops, because the nitrogen kind of fades away the hop taste. But it makes it smoother, right? That's why a lot of these, like Guinness and this beer here, the milk stout, is more creamy. It's got a smoother mouthfeel. That's what the nitrogen does. Is that smoothness. So, hey, man, look at us. We're like educating, right? That doesn't never happen. Usually we just say we like it, we don't like it. So that's what. And here's another add-on story. Sorry I'm taking up so much time at the beginning. But Breger's favorite episode is the one where I had to go get a bottle opener. And I'm prepared this time, right? Because I don't want to give him more ammunition to make fun of me for having to leave mid-podcast for a bottle opener because I couldn't open my bottle. Breger, I got a podcast today, or I've got a bottle opener today. So, what you drinking, man?
Well, first of all, that left-hand milk stout's a really nice beer. That's, but I didn't know that about the nitrogen, so the nitro. So I'm thanks for sharing that. We drink enough that we should be experts on beer. So I learn something every day. Today I've got from Dark Sky Brewing, which I think I've maybe done before, the brewery, but it is Vortices. and it's an IPA, hazy IPA, and it's really delicious. But it's got a really beautiful kind of Art Nouveau, or not Art Nouveau? Is it Art Nouveau? Kind of that total '60s vibe. Can, super cool looking can, and I don't know. I just grabbed it out of the fridge because I thought, hey, that looks neat, and
yeah, you
that's it. Nothing
always
else
find
like that.
the coolest logos, the coolest cans always come from you.
I got some other cool cans in there, but they felt like really sort of classic and whatever, beautiful cans. But this one felt like fun, and I thought our topic today feels like it should be fun, so that's why I grabbed Vortices.
See, that tells me you looked ahead, right? Because I did that this afternoon. You looked ahead at the topic. I think, right, it was an article, right? Because we're trying to go with what's new, what's hip, what's trending, what's relevant, what's small business oriented. And I'm like going, damn, I just hadn't thought about that way. But we're talking about subscription-based models today. And not only that, how subscription-based models, business models, are permeating everything, right?
Yes, yeah. And when I read the description, literally right before we got on the air here, I popped it because I copy and pasted in all of our streaming software, and I hadn't heard it. So it's an article about a restaurant going to subscription. Hey, that was not one model I'd really heard of.
Yeah, you know what? And it's not just one restaurant. It's a bunch of big names like Panera, like On the Border, like some of these big ones. I mean, you know, they're wrapping them up somewhat into loyalty programs, right? So like Panera. And the name of the article, which made me stop and look, was so cool. It was Pay to Chew. Instead of pay-per-view or paper chew.
Yeah,
nice. How's that? So yeah, it was kind of funny. But I guess Panera is like X number of dollars. I'm going to say $119 a year or $11 a month or something like that is unlimited drinks, hot or cold drinks. So, you know, I'm like, okay, well, if I live next to a Panera, I mean, that might be worth it, right? I mean, especially if they got some cold brews, they got some coffees, they got some Cokes or whatever, it might be worth it. If I go in there several times a week, walking to work or something like that. I'm like going, is that good or bad, right? I mean, I've never thought about restaurants doing a subscription-based model, but On the Border tried it with queso and chips. There's like $1 a month, which way too low. And I think they've actually changed it, but I think their experiment was like unlimited or a free queso and chips every time you came in for $1 a month.
Yeah. It's, well, you know, I can see the reason behind it, and this could filter down to those independent restaurants, to mom and pop shops as well. And because what you're trying to do is you're like, I imagine restaurants live on their regulars, or a lot of them live and die on their regulars. And is a subscription model a way to generate more loyalty and kind of generate more regulars into your restaurant? Like kind of take your regulars and turn them into super regulars, take your semi-regular, maybe turn them into regulars. But what it does for them is it can give them some guaranteed cash flow, some guaranteed cash, right?
It's definitely predictable income. You might even improve the average value per customer, right? Because I come back more often. So I come back more often. Maybe if I go to, I'm just going to throw a name out there. We'll say Olive Garden, right? If I go there once every other month, because Courtney likes the soup and salad, but I never really went to Olive Garden that much. But now we go there like once every other month. If there's a loyalty program where I got something that I normally would get anyway, but I got it cheaper, I might go there more often, which means that they're going to, I guess it's like you're fighting for wallet share. And what I mean by that is we all have a certain amount of food budget. You know, so all of these restaurants compete for a share of your food budget every month.
Yeah, and it's just, I think, like I don't think you're going to turn somebody in that just kind of shows up once in a while into a regular, but I think it's those ones that are on the fence, semi-regular, or the ones that are regular. You just kind of, you really get them entrenched and get them coming. And I was actually at a coffee shop not too long ago, about a month ago here, and they had sort of taken over the bay next door, and they have a whole basically set of, I think it was little desks and tables and things. And I was curious. I didn't ask them, but I was curious if they actually had a subscription to have kind of workspace. Because it would make sense. It's like, hey, you can have your workspace, a few $100 a month, you get your workspace and a free coffee a day or something like that. Because I couldn't figure out, like, why would you open that up unless there was some reason to bring people in but generate money? Because what you don't want is someone come in and they buy a coffee and then sit there for 8 hours, right?
Well, yeah, because there's just such metric as revenue per table, right? So that's why restaurants want to turn that table. That's why they're presenting that check. That's why they're trying to make sure you're done. And then if you notice after they present the check, a lot of times they don't come back very quickly because they're not trying to. Well, I think it's purposeful because think about it. If I sit there with the check and I don't come back, if I come back too quickly, I might order something else and give you the check back. If it takes a while, I'm like going, yeah, all right, we should go. Right? It's like an unconscious thought that you go, yeah, we've been here a long time, we should go, so he could turn over his table. So I think they probably don't come back that quickly after they give you the check.
Could be. I've never worked in a restaurant. You sure eat there enough that I should know this stuff inside out. But so are you? Do you find yourself a regular at a lot of places, or are you the type that tends to go to a lot of different places?
My preference is I like small independent restaurants. So I'm more willing to go in and try a lot of small independent restaurants.
Yep.
But because of where we're living now, sometimes I take the easy way out, which is a lot of construction, brand new neighborhood, not a lot of options. I've got my favorites, right, that we just kind of keep going back to over and over and over again because there's just I've never had as much ramen in my life as now. Only because there's a fantastic little place that opened up, about as close as you can get to my house called Bakudan Ramen. And they have this, they're only open from 4 to 9. Think about that.
Okay.
Packed. Always got to wait to get in, right? Unless I get there
Nice.
like 4 or 5. If I get there early, I can kind of get right in.
Yeah.
But they got it's almost like a club atmosphere inside. It's like a real weird, loud kind of music, dark. They got anime on the TV.
Nice.
It's like a crazy atmosphere, but this ramen is fantastic. It's absolutely some of the best I've ever had.
And that's the thing. It's the quality that because I know we like to try a lot of different places here and there, and it's almost all. I'm like you. We like to support independent. We'll go way out of our way to get to an independent coffee shop or brewery or little shop or whatever, right? And but I do find we become regulars really quick. So we get to a new area or something, we'll try a bunch of different places, and it's last weekend we couldn't get into one of our favorite places because it was so full, and we thought, okay, let's go we ended up walking out of 2 places before we ordered because we went and sat down and went, what the heck? It's taking forever. And you get that bad vibe, right? And I'm like, there's something not right in here. And then we went to a second place, and it was and these are kind of supposedly pretty nice places, and we're like, something's not right. Something is not right here. They're understaffed. And then I'm like, well, what's going on in the kitchen then? So we leave, and we go. And so we've gotten to be very much regulars. We like to step out and try some new places, but it's our favorites. And there's a place in Edmonton we're there. Generally, I'm there around 4 times a week. We're there twice on the weekend for brunch. And I'll usually do some meetings, or we'll bike over and go for dinner there. Little independent place called Rosso. The reason we go there, number one, food is outstanding. And they have a great beer list, great wine list, the coffee with a barista kind of idea. But it's the quality, and then the staff is outstanding. The owner's outstanding. So we go there all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, we're the same way. It's like there might be 5 to 10 places around the city here in San Antonio that we go to, but it's almost always dependent on, it's not where the restaurant is, it's another activity I want to do there, right? I want to go over to, the Quarry. I want to go over to the Rim. I want to go downtown to the Pearl District. I want to go and do something else, but then we have our favorite restaurant there, right? Which means I'm not trying a bunch of the restaurants in that area. Let's go to the one I like. I already know I like this one, so I go there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's same thing. We bike and we have our favorite places. So we frequent in Edmonton lots of different places, but honestly, 4 or 5 regular, 1 super regular. Down here in Scottsdale, same thing. We probably have 4 or 5 who are regular, like Goldwater Brewing. We're out there once or twice every single weekend. Bonehouse we're at quite often. But I don't know. Is that typical? I think it probably is that people get comfortable, which it doesn't matter if it's the type of places we like or not. It's just if there's a place that is that typical that you have those regulars, and it feels like that subscription is a way to get them a little more engaged and get the ones on the fence into being a regular. And I can see how that would really affect your cash flow.
All right, so I'm the type of guy, even here at home, I can eat the same thing kind of over and over and over again. I mean, like, you know, there's a handful of dishes that Courtney will make. I'm like, hey, make that again. You know, but am I willing now? And this is where we're talking about how much of my life do I want to be subscription based? I mean, I can see 1 or 2 items where you get a free drink, you get a free appetizer. Could you do a full menu subscription? Whereas, you know, I have a Lupe tortilla subscription where every third Thursday they bring me a fajita platter to the house.
I think the challenge, but you kind of outlined the challenge, is it's got to be simple. And that's the challenge, I think, with some subscriptions is dead simple. It's like, you want to try one? Yep. Monthly, off you go. Yearly, off you go.
Yeah.
A restaurant, it feels challenging.
Netflix the same way.
Netflix.
Right.
Yeah. It feels like it would be a real challenge because the margins are tight in a restaurant. You can't just say, yeah, you get a free meal every day or every week or whatever because anything off the menu. Well, okay, is that really going to work? What about your food costs? Is it going to be profitable? So it feels like a real challenge. And there's but you've seen, like, that's just restaurants. You've seen all these different industries are trying to work on a subscription model. We've already talked about, like you already mentioned, your friend accountant. That I know that a lot of that is going to basically a subscription, a productized monthly subscription. Right. But now you're starting to see like you know, cars, like you can actually, you pay to just literally have them software wise turn something on in your car and you pay monthly for it. That seems bizarre to me, right?
Well, take it a step further. There are subscriptions for just borrowing a car. Now, they're in metropolitan areas, but there'd be like a Go-Car, or I can't remember what it was, where you actually just pay, and if there's one right there on the block and you got an app to figure out where it is, you just go get in it and drive it to wherever you're going to drive it and leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, like an Uber without a driver.
Yeah. What happens if the car isn't available though, and you're paying a subscription? Like that'd be really. I'm not sure. Like how do you make it? Well, you know, actually, the other thing with cars, like we just talked about features, like you can kind of go, yeah, I want heated seats, so can you turn my heated seats on, please, or whatever. Car companies playing with that. But I know a few years ago, and I don't know if it really is panned out or not, but I think it was Porsche and Volvo were the two I can think of that were offering car subscriptions, and it was just literally you get it's full all in outside of gas. It's the car, it's the insurance, it's the like everything outside of gas is covered, and I think you can even just like you drive it for a while and you kind of turn it in. It's like leasing on steroids. Like it's just covers everything. And there's something kind of appealing about that, except for probably the price. I guess that they're making some pretty big margins off of that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's for the type of people that only need a car temporarily. And I don't want to go spend $50,000 for a car, but I'll pay the X $1,000 a month for 3 months worth of use of car because of what I'm doing.
Yeah, or you just it'd be nice to be able to turn it in and like have a summer car and then have your winter car, right? If you're in a place with bad weather, but then you can see from the company's point of view, everybody wants to turn in the summer car and everybody wants to get their winter car, and it's like, well, you kind of have double the inventory to try and manage it. So, I think there's a lot of holes in some of these models that they're playing with right now to figure out how do you make a subscription model work. But everybody kind of wants a subscription model because you have repeatable, predictable revenue.
Hey, I got an idea. You know how they have these home chefs and stuff like that, right? It's a meal in a box. They send it to your house, and you get a whole week's worth of meal, stuff like that. Well, you may not always want to eat at home. You might want to have some other, like, I want other people's food, or I want a different person's food. What if you had those? Because the infrastructure is in place from COVID, where they had those. I forget what they call them. It's not like a
pop-ups.
It wasn't a pop-up, but they called it something else but it was just
ghost kitchens, I think.
Ghost kitchen, right? So you got a warehouse, and maybe you got 5 or 10 different restaurants that have ghost kitchens in there, and they're only cooking one meal that day, whatever the hell that is, right? Maybe it's chicken Alfredo one day, and it's prime rib the next. But they only make one dinner per day, whatever that meal is. And if you're on the subscription, you get to pick which day, and they run the same thing every week. So you only got 7 options, right? 7 options, and I'm a Sunday guy, so on Sunday I got my choices of either the first Sunday, second, third, or fourth, and I either get prime rib, so I guess you got 4 options, right? So prime rib, chicken Alfredo, 2 others. What if you did that, and I'm only paying for a meal to come to me every week, and it's a different meal every Sunday, but I know on Sunday I get my meal from Mike's Hot and Ready.
Yeah.
Hot and different.
Hot and different. There's a good name for us, hot and different. Doesn't have to be good, just different. Right?
Yeah, or I just buy a once a week plan where I get whatever that chef is serving that week on Sundays comes to the house.
Yeah.
From that restaurant. And it's always something from the restaurant menu.
But what I like, it'd be hard for me to see a benefit to doing that unless and their margins are so tight that they probably can't even give a cost cut, because Uber Eats I can do on demand, right? Because the other thing is plans change,
You get rid of the overhead, right? You just have the ghost kitchen where all you do is you have a bay, you have a swap meet booth, right? And you're just cooking in the bay. No waiters, no servers, no anything like that. Orders come in from the internet. You don't even need orders. You don't even need a way to take orders. You just need to know how many meals you're cooking that night. So you only have to work really because you can schedule to where everything goes out in between 5 and 10. You're just
but it makes more sense for them than it does for the person that is like ordering the food, because why would I lock in that much? Because I don't, stuff changes, right? Suddenly it's like, hey, come over for a drink and some dinner.
Maybe, maybe it's once a week, or maybe it's not once a week. Maybe it's once a month, right?
Yeah,
and it couldn't be on demand. It would have to be a subscription.
Yeah. I have
no idea.
It's so easy to do on demand, right? I have trouble seeing the benefit to a consumer to like. I don't know if you ever tried these meal subscription things where they bring the food to your door but you end up having to cook it. Have you done that or?
Yeah, I feel like I just said that.
Yeah. Okay. So no, but tell me a bit about it. Tell me about like.
Yeah, all right. So it comes in we'll say a box. You got 5 to 7 meals or whatever it is you get, and they come in packages. It's a dry ice container, right? You take them out and you just put them in the fridge, and they come with instructions, right? So when you open up the box, it's got a list of instructions on top and all the ingredients below. You're like, use these broccoli florets and use these 2 pieces of chicken and use this thing of potatoes and you got a meal, right? It's super easy and it's portioned, right? So there's not a ton of waste. I mean, and the recipes are pretty good, and they've got the seasoning in it. They've got the directions on what pan to put it in. They're super detailed in how to prepare. So and they taste pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Home Chef is the one that we did personally, and I actually liked it. Okay, yeah.
We attempted to try it once, didn't quite work out, and I don't know. I like cooking, so I just kind of gave up on it. But we tried it once because they had a deal where it's like you get your 7 meals or whatever, and so we picked them out and then they told us what time they were dropping it off. And I happened to be upstairs, and I saw the truck come in front of the house and stop. And then it drove away. Didn't drop anything off. and then later on, I got an email that said your delivery's been canceled. And we were kind of like, well, there's 7 meals there. I never went and got groceries because we were planning to do these meals. And so I literally had to chase them down. I'm phoning. I'm like, what the hell? Like, where did our food go? The guy literally drove up and then left. And it took me a while. I had to chase people down, and they had to keep finding out. And then they finally found out that, yeah, the person checked and the box was damaged, so they didn't want to deliver it.
Oh, wow.
I said, well,
how am I supposed to eat?
How am I supposed to eat? And I said, well, so when are you bringing it? Well, we're not. That was the answer. We're not. We've refunded you. And so I'm like, well, now we're out of food. And I actually had to chase you down to get an answer. And so I went, forget that. Like, I'll just cook myself. So we haven't done it since then. It was just like, man, I'll just cook whatever's in the bloody fridge. Or, you know, like I'll admit it, like Uber Eats and the like, you know, they probably know our house by, you know, they're there every other day. But you know what? With only 2 of us, sometimes it seems cheaper. I always order extra for the next day or two, and it's like, man, by the time I got all these ingredients, I'm not sure it's any cheaper.
You know what I even like was, all right, so in Seattle, though, there's those Amazon Go stores. You've seen those where you just walk in and everything's RFID, right? It's attached to your Amazon account. There's no checkout. You just walk in and grab whatever you want off the shelves. Hey, and be careful when you grab stuff off the shelves because it assigns it to you because of your phone. Yeah. And so, but anyway, you just walk out. But they had these, it was the same thing. Instead of buying a whole week at a time, you could buy 1 meal just for that night. And, you know, I was in walking distance, so we could just walk down there, grab a meal, bring it up, prepare it at home. And it was more on demand, and we got to pick, you know, there might have been 4 or 5 choices, but still, we got to pick what we wanted for that night and do it ourselves.
See, and that's where a subscription kind of would feel like it kind of makes sense. Like if you said, yeah, you get 10 of those a month, 15 of those a month, so you're like, yeah, we can do that. We can walk down, walk in, walk out, and it would, if it felt like there's a little bit of savings by doing that, and you're like, yeah, no, I like it. I would probably stick with it, but I think that's the trick is, The subscription model sounds like a great idea for, and a lot of industries are testing, trying to figure out how to make it work. Some of them just don't make sense for the consumer. Like it's just, you just add so much friction and it just doesn't really make sense. So it's bound to fail. But the payoff for a business, especially a small business, is so good that, man, it's worth experimenting, I think.
All right. So what about, there's some businesses out there that I don't think could ever be subscription. Right. I don't think gasoline could be a subscription.
I think that'd be tough. Yeah, that'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, because usage. I mean, like me, I've got a vehicle out there I've owned for a little over a year, and I have 5,900 miles on it in a year.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't drive it that much. So I mean, what subscription do you give me for gas?
Yeah, I think it'd have to be someone that's really regular. But, you know, I think with them, that's where the loyalty programs come in because what they're trying to do is draw you back over and over and over again. But it's hard to make it make sense for a consumer. Like that's where a lot of them fail is like really the benefits to the business are quantifiable. But, man, how do you make a lot of these industries make it make sense? I don't know. Like it's tough. It's really tough.
Let's debate some of that, all right? But let's have a word from our sponsor. Is it me or you?
I have no idea. It's you. It's you this week.
Hey, and now is the time of the program when you listen to Cashflow Mike talk about his new program, The Clear Path to Cash. It's 8 lessons in maximizing cash in your business in any given business situation. Not only that, if you're an advisor who wants to work with business owners and provide them with a better, more complete cash flow experience, check out Pathfinder. It is a done-with-you, all-inclusive advisory services program that not only teaches you how to interpret numbers, but also deliver those results in an impactful way for your clients. All of that includes a 3-month trial for Dry Run, which is by my man, Blaine Birch. So Dry Run is the cash flow forecasting software built and designed to improve and optimize your spending inside your company. So check us out, Cashflow Mike at cashflowmike.com and Dry Run at dryrun.com. Dude, I didn't even write that out. I just fucking went with it.
That was good. And you somehow snuck in both of us.
I know you should clip that. I'll promote that on social. I
Yeah,
thought it went well. I thought it was pretty well. Just
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll clip that, and you can transcribe it. Now you got your script for.
Hey, or we could just play it as mid-roll ads.
Oh yeah. Well, we've already got a jig. We should. You know what? Oh man. Maybe what we should do is a Cashflow Mike and Dry Run jingle, and we just swap week to week. That's our sponsor. We could have a little sponsor jingle. That'd be hilariously fun. That'd be awesome. I love that jingle that we got going.
All right. So do you want one like that, or you want like should they be? They got to be a little bit different, I would think, or else.
Oh yeah, they got to be different.
It's the same jingle every time.
No, it got to be different. Got to be totally different styles and totally different, and just have some fun with it. But we'll think about that. That might be kind of fun.
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh boy,
that is the funniest thing we've ever done.
That's classic. This is classic. Love it.
All right, so there was one other thing I thought was funnier that nobody really else, picked up on the joke. I thought your idea, and when we put out there for Mike and Blaine's A/B test, was the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, that was a little too. That was a fast one. Went over their heads. I think that was a little too cryptic. Yeah,
we got people mad at us on that one. I mean, we just mad at us. I mean, people are trolling us now. I mean, what's happening? I mean, we got called idiots. I'm like, is that a compliment? That should be a compliment, right?
I was excited about that. I thought this is the first time we got called idiots. Well, like where they actually was public and we got to see it. I'm sure there's probably people calling us that every 2 minutes listening to us. But no, that was fun. That was a good time. So.
That's just the funniest thing. And it's so funny. All right, so I've been doing Facebook ads for Cashflow Mike. And I think now they must be seeing them too often or something like that is like for the past month, or people are just pissed right now. I don't know what it is. But I've had like 3 people just make shitty comments, like on scam. I'm like, you're not even a customer. I mean, scam. What are you talking about? You don't even know what you're talking about. So it's funny how people respond. First of all, they're responding to an ad. It's a sponsored ad. You're like going, how are you interacting with an ad?
Man, life's too short.
Yeah, scroll past that shit, man. If you don't like it, scroll past it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. All right, so subscription. I mean, is there a path? First of all, I think. All right, so let me go back to the original subscription stuff from me. The transition of subscriptions. Because remember, you could subscribe to magazines, right? Back when we were kids. I would call television back then a subscription.
Yep.
Still, right? You just subscribe, telephone, those kind of things. Telephone. Yeah. But I think television cut their own throats. Because there was a point in time when cable subscriptions had come up to, people were paying $200 or $300 a month.
Yeah.
And the introduction of these other live streaming services and on-demand videos, and I'll tell you, if you can get away from just live streaming, if you don't need it, it's actually pretty cheap entertainment, right? Just on demand. You start adding live streaming, it costs a little bit more, but I like that because I want to see something live. I want to see a football game, or I want to see the news, or I want to see whatever.
Yeah.
But what happens is that they cut my average bill at least in half. Mm-hmm. Even with some of the stuff I wanted, the premium stuff, because I still have HBO Max because I like a couple of the shows, like Succession just came back on, right? I just like it.
Yeah.
Or Billions on Showtime. There's some shows, or Paramount with Yellowstone, right? So, I mean, any of those are like family-oriented business type of shows. But you get to pick and choose. I can just say, oh, well, they're not having that season right now. Well, let's cancel it and pick it up. Just cancel it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you kind of cut your own throat that way. Or did they? I mean, are people spending more now on subscriptions to watch TV than they used to?
I saw a graph the other day in an article that actually showed that people are spending now. Where do you get your data from? And how accurate is it? Because you know how that works. But it showed that they claimed on average spending more on streaming products than on cable monthly.
I'm not.
Not much, but a tiny bit more. But when I looked at that, I went, yeah, but there's about 1,000 times more content on streaming. Like you can get because we probably spend as much on that as on cable. And the only reason I have cable, which honestly, I don't know why we still have cable. I'm going to cancel it. It's sports. But now we're streaming F1. Now we're streaming hockey. Now we're streaming everything.
And I've got Hulu. I got Hulu, and I feel like I get everything.
I can't get CFL football in Canada streaming. I'm hoping this year they'll do it because I'm like, that's kind of the last little bit that I can't stream. But I would rather stream it. I'd rather have it on demand. And the amount of content is just like massive. And you're not trying to record stuff. Like, my God, how ridiculous that you actually have to try and record something. But what I will say is the networks were the best at making content. So everyone was saying, well, cable's dead. And then you realize, yeah, but all it is the cable itself is literally just feeding a different type of data. It's data. It doesn't matter. And the television networks are great at making content, and they're just selling it a different way. So none of the networks died. They're just really good at making content, so they just moved it online. And it was not a whole lot of difference, really.
Yeah, but all the small companies are getting better at that too, right? Netflix originals, Hulu, Prime. I mean, all these guys have their own original content.
The competition is vicious now. Yeah, absolutely vicious.
Who do you think got hurt the worst in that?
Well, it was, I think to a large degree, it probably was the networks. I don't know how they can still make enough money. Like, they're going to have to make episodes, but it's the same. It's competition now, so it doesn't matter if you're Netflix or Peacock or Hulu or what. It's all content. How do you take a risk on really top-notch quality content? Boy, you got to be really sure of yourself, because the competition is so incredibly vicious for people's eyes that I don't know how you make it.
I think in the last 5 years, and I'm guessing, I haven't seen a chart on this, and if you're listening to this and before you call us an idiot, we don't do any research. So we just guess at what we're talking. It's like two guys drinking a beer, having a conversation. But
yeah, it is literally like two guys in the bar, except we just happen to not be in the bar. Yeah.
So I get the impression, you remember in the early or mid-2000s, DirecTV was the thing. Right, DirecTV, you had all the channels, and they had a lock on professional football, an absolute lock, meaning that you couldn't watch a game unless you had DirecTV Sunday Ticket or anything like that. Yeah. Well, I think that shifted, right, because the demographics is like, oh, we don't need satellite TV anymore. We can just get Hulu. We can just get, I can see it anywhere, not just on my, that big screen TV in my living room.
Yeah.
So they don't have the infrastructure to do that as well. And then B, I think they're losing the exclusive rights to NFL, right? Which means other stations are more and more picking, or networks are picking those up more and more. I don't think they have the exclusive anymore. So those two things, I think, hurts DirecTV. What do you do if you're a satellite TV company today when the internet's running the world?
Man, like, is there a way out, or are you just basically Blockbuster? Like, did you get past? Because if you can basically do an internet connection and feed any sort of data down on satellite, then you've got a chance. But I think if it's just television, like, how do you compete? How do you compete with all these multiple streaming services? Like you said, that you can jump in, jump out, Like I go to our TV now and you look and it's like you just scroll past all the streaming services that we have, and we probably pay for way too many. I think it's the ones we're paying for. We've probably been watched in months.
Yeah.
I don't even remember which all of them are, you know. But there's they all see what they're really good at though is they all do basically what I would refer to as a halo product. Like that's the products that they make themselves and they put some serious money into, and they need a hit. Because people will go buy just for Yellowstone, for Mandalorian, for like you have these products that it's they literally buy a subscription just for that one product, and then you hopefully serve them up the others while they're there.
Yeah, but you almost need 4 to 6 of those, right? Because as the season ends, you got another one, and you spread them out, so you got people that are engaged and they don't want to leave all year long, right? And they're almost, I say 6 because they almost got to overlap.
Yeah, and they have to appeal to the same people, right? Like that's the other thing is so you start to get pigeonholed likely into we have to have our Halo products have to connect, and they have to bring the same people in. They have to I was just thinking about this now because if it's completely different, you're likely going to lose. When that season's over, you're not going to grab the next person. But you see that on those networks, like all the networks on cable. First of all, the cost per show episode had to go down through the floor to be able to compete when you're like TLC or whatever. I haven't seen anything in those in years. But I remember last time I kind of saw much on TV, they would almost be streamed, like literally just back to back, the one TV show that worked. And it had to be almost exactly the same thing. Like Discovery Channel is no longer kind of science and whatever related. It's just like what works, what brings in eyeballs, do kind of the same thing and just play them back to back over and over and over again. And that's like how many channels we still have. Like I said, we have cable. At least we have cable up in Edmonton to watch some sports and that. And I'll look and I can see like Comedy Network and it'll be Big Bang all the way across as far as the eye can see. And it's like, it's literally become the Big Bang Network for like a couple months. And then they might change with a different sitcom, but it's almost all they play because it's all just what draws them in. Right.
So when I was a kid, right, it would pop on at 6 in the morning or whatever, 5:30 in the morning and turn off at midnight TV. Yeah. And you had 3 channels.
4 channels.
Yeah,
four channels.
They had 4 in Canada.
We had 3, and then we had the French channel. So we had 4, but one was in French.
But I think we had 3 channels, right? And I'm like, okay, well, that seemed like enough then. I don't know why. It just seemed like enough. Even though you could say, well, I got 1,000 channels. You probably got 20. We probably moved from 1975 to now from 3 to 20. That I can kind of just really cruise through. Other than that, you're just wasting my time. I go, no.
Yeah.
And it's because it's like that. It's like, oh, that's Big Bang Channel. But now that they got the gridded schedule, which, believe it or not, is like the old TV Guide. You remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
TV Guide, you just open it up and they have the same grid, the exact same way that we see it now. It's just now on the screen. So it's not like, oh, this is hot new technology. No, that was TV Guide.
It was TV Guide
forever. Yeah.
And the only time I see it is in hotel rooms because that's when I flip on the TV and I can't stream. Some of them you can even stream, but most of them is like, that's when I see, because I really we just have become so attuned to streaming that I'm like, I don't want anything else. In fact, we probably watch as much YouTube as we do any of the streaming networks now because it's there's content on there and that is every bit as good quality wise as any of the television networks, and they'll be like the 25-30 minute show. Like it's like that is the same thing and it's better content and it's actually easier to get there.
You know what you need? All right, here's a subscription based product that I would probably buy. I'm gonna call it the streaming aggregator. Which means that I can go anywhere in the world because they're trying to figure out how to keep people from stealing passwords and those type of things. And sometimes we get like Hulu will say, "Hey, you're not at your home." Well, no shit, I'm traveling. I'm in this hotel, or I'm in this, I'm over at my grandma's house, or I'm in this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
the aggregator should be a subscription base that allows me to just log in to any device anywhere, and I can play all my subscriptions.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even at home, for me to be able to search and get through everything easier and all of that would be awesome. It just isn't there yet. And like, there's some bizarre stuff with, you know, I wanted to watch the hockey game the other night, and you know, we're in Phoenix area here, and the game, the Oilers playing Phoenix, and it was blacked out. Like, how archaic is that? It was blacked out in the local area. I don't know. They're in a 5,000 person stadium. Like, there are no tickets. Nobody. It's full. Like, you can't get in there. But it just felt so archaic to me, and I'm like, I've got a streaming package. Why can I not stream it? You know, like, literally, you have to use a VPN just to stream. It was bizarre to me how some of the rules creep up to just kind of make, well, here's a little bit of friction.
Yeah.
And so I ended up watching the game, but it was annoying. Like, it was just, come on, guys. Like, it's not 1982 anymore here.
Oh my God! I just had a blast from the past, right? Because we're talking about 70s, 80s.
Yep.
This food subscription thing is not new. Not new. Jelly of the month, beer of the month.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'm like going, oh my God! We've already had this forever, right?
Yeah.
They just made you pay up front. It's like, oh, hey, pay for the year in advance, and we'll ship you 12 jellies. We'll ship you, 12 beers. And I actually got that for my birthday in the 90s. I was given a beer that now was probably early 2000s, beer of the month, and I got to try beers from all over the country. I would get a 12-pack a month for a whole year, and that was the only time my neighbors liked me. See that box on my porch?
Hey, time to come over. Ring the bell.
They go, hey, I saw the UPS guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they still have different beer subscriptions, beer of the month. I've never done one because I'm so bloody picky that I'd get annoyed by what they pick.
Yeah, but what makes that good is that they are picking it. I don't think you can have an a la carte on demand subscription.
Yeah, I would do a subscription, and I would even pay probably additional dollars if they got me, like, we're talking the top beers. Like, if you can get Pliny the Younger to my door, if you can get Toppling Goliath Stouts, the ones that you can only get at the Bloody Brewery, if you can get Heady Topper, these ones that are really impossible to get, get me those, and I'll pay a little extra for that. Hell yeah, I'll pay some good, because that stuff I can't get. But if it's someone that's just like, they're kind of picking beer, showing up at my door, I'm like, nah, get lost. Like, I don't like the beer you picked, right?
All right, so have you ever done subscription clothing? Because I've tried that too.
Zero chance on that. Like, I'm too picky. I'm just realizing I'm a very picky person. I think. Well,
all right. So it didn't work for me. I tried it for like 7 months.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'd gained some weight near the COVID era, and so I needed to buy some new clothes. I'm like, going, man, it's COVID. We're like going, I don't know where to go and what to do. So I did a Stitch Fix.
Okay.
And they would just send me a box of clothes. I'm like, well, I'm changing my wardrobe. and all they did was just put in my, preferences. Here's the thing. I probably only liked about 20% of what they sent. Even with the choices they gave me, they're like, oh, that's not really what I picked. That's not really my style. I'm like going, I'm not a skinny jeans type of person. Stop sending me those.
Well, and I can't believe, I don't think I've bought clothes in a retail store in definitely well before COVID, like way pre-COVID. And I don't know if I ever will, because I'm so bloody picky that the stuff I get, you can't just go into a store and buy, right? And but I love quality, independent brands, and I don't want a big logo on it or anything. And so I'm obsessed with like merino for shirts. Japanese denim for jeans, literally from Japan, like that's the kind of stuff. But I like really good quality stuff, and if it's made by an artisan or whatever, I love small business and what they do, right? And I can't do that. I'm not happy going in and buying some big brand somewhere.
Well, here was the problem with subscription for me is, are you really, if you know me, are you going to send me a bow tie? One that I have to tie.
I want to see you in a bow tie, man. It's hilarious.
You know when you would have saw me in a bow tie? When I was a waiter and a busboy in 1985 at the country club, where they maybe wear one, right? And that one you could just clip.
Yep. I bet you have a bolo tie, though, don't you?
I don't. Yeah,
you don't?
I know because you're thinking, oh, this big Texan's got a bolo tie.
Texas guy.
Yeah,
yeah. I had one as a kid.
Yeah, now, I got probably everything else you can think of. I don't have a bolo tie.
Yeah. I had one as a kid, though.
Yeah, but I'm not wearing ties at all anymore. I'm not wearing a lot of ties.
I haven't worn a tie, and the only time I wear a suit and tie, weddings and funerals. That is literally it, and then probably has to feel like a wedding that I actually have to wear a suit too. Because if I don't wear a suit, I'm not going to wear it. Like, it's just, I'm thankful I don't have to. That's how I'd put it.
I'm probably done with ties.
Yeah.
Children, if I pass on, don't put me in a tie.
Bow tie.
Yeah, don't put me in a bow tie either.
A polka dot yellow bow tie.
This one is a red and white polka dot one that I have.
Really?
Red
you
or
better
orange.
wear that.
Or orange, one of the two, reddish orange.
Our 100th episode, you could wear a T-shirt and a bow tie.
I would have to watch a YouTube video to figure out how to tie it.
That's the thing with YouTube. You can do anything though.
Yeah, but it's still in the wrapper thing. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? Yeah. So it's going to be a white elephant gift. Somebody else is going to get it.
That's one of the skills I hope I don't use again is tying a tie. Yeah. I only know how to do 2 different knots, but I don't really ever want to use them again.
Well, I tell you what, I have a bow tie. We'll figure out something with it. I might even give it away on this show. You never know. If you want a bow tie.
Autographed bow tie from Cashflow Mike.
There you go. I'll probably do it. Who would want that? I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised every time I do an ad, right? I've been doing these Facebook ads, and I'll do 3 variations. I'll keep all the words the same. I'll keep the call to action the same, and I'll just change the picture. Every time, the ones where I'm in it outperform the ones when I'm not. Every time.
Yeah. A face does sell.
Thing. Yeah.
A face always sells. So really what you need to do is actually have different pictures and compare the different pictures. Some that are like, it's.
Do you think I have a good side?
Well, I think the thing is how pro versus how authentic. You got to get a real authentic looking one. I think that plays really big today, right? Like it's a person, but it's authentic, right?
All right. So our first pictures, authentic? Were they authentic? They seemed okay.
We're kind of posing, but
we posed a little bit, yeah.
They're on the website.
It's so good. Hey, speaking of the website, if you go to the website, you can be like Larry Weinstein and support the podcast by buying us a beer. Just go to click buy us a beer, and when you buy us a beer, tell us what you want to buy. That's why I'm drinking the milk stout from Left Hand today, because Larry Weinstein said drink it, and I did.
And buy Blaine a beer. I think it's what we should, because you've outperformed the beer sponsor, especially with neighbor Pat. But you're just drinking free beer every week, and I'm just like lugging over to the store, promoting all these breweries as I buy my own beer. So someone can buy me beer sometime.
Somebody please buy Blaine a beer.
Yeah. And hopefully get on. They won't anymore after I said how picky I am. So I'm not picky if it's free.
Hey, maybe if we had a buy Blaine a beer subscription.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. That's a subscription I could get behind.
There you go, right? See? It might work. I mean, right now, you're the only one that has a subscription.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that was dumb. That was. I figured I would hear a sound effect on that one.
Care got it somewhere. Oh, shoot. I think that might be the wrong drum one.
That figures. Little rim shot for that one? No?
I was trying to find it, but it's sometimes a little delayed here and it doesn't quite work. So,
all right. Well, Hey, so anyway, this is episode number 84. You have been listening to Mike and Blaine, and today we talked about subscription-based lives. Is everything in our life worth a subscription? I think that's something to, explore, to think about, to talk about. And buy some beer, get some merch. What do you always say?
Make sure you subscribe. Follow us, subscribe, like us. Make sure you're catching every episode.
Right on. Hey, another good one, man. Thanks.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.